All right, guys. So we've got 12-2 sums and products today. Make sure you look at the board where I have some stuff written down. First, do not come in for action. Don't come in and try to get help for any extra time. I'm not here, so I can't help you. If you got late work to turn in, I am coming after I get back from my conference today to get it. If it's not there today, it's not graded for the 3 weeks. You are to take works, then work on your homework. Don't mess around, and do not get out your phones, okay? If your name's up there for the quizzes or the test, you need to come take care of that as soon as possible. And if you don't take the retest by Wednesday afternoon, you will not get to take it, and that's going to kill some of you guys. So let's go ahead and talk first real quick about yesterday's stuff. Maybe we had something like, I don't know, maybe I should turn my pen. Like 4x squared y plus 8xy. And what we did was we factored it. We looked at 4 and 8 and found the GCF. That would be 4. Both terms have an x, so I put x here and I take it to the lowest power, which is the 1. And then I have y in both of them, so I put down y, and the lowest power in that is again 1. Then I do my division. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X squared over x is x, and the y over 1 cancel. You don't have to put 1x, but it just has to be x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. X divided by x cancels, y divided by y cancels, so there's your answer. Now, there is a way on your calculator to find GCF. If you're having problems, you push the math button. This is where we convert decimals to fractions. You're going to push to the right, and then you're going to push up, and you should be on GCD. If you hit enter, it'll put GCD in an open parenthesis. You could put in your first number, then put in the comma. It's right by your parenthesis button. And then put in your other number and hit enter, and it would tell you GCD is 4. GCD is greatest common denominator. Greatest common factor is the same thing. So on some of those big numbers, maybe that'll help. So let's go ahead and talk about today's. Basically what it's wanting us to do today, it's going to give us 2 numbers. It's going to want us to find 2 numbers that add up to one of them and that have a product or multiply together to give us the second. So we're going to be looking for sums and products. Now, number 1 says, I need 2 numbers that have a sum that sum to, and we're just going to get off these x's. We don't need them. That have a sum of 8 and have a product of 7. Now, the reason we're taking off the x's is it's unnecessary at the moment. What we're going to do in the next couple of days is just what we're doing with the numbers. We'll actually just put an x on each number tomorrow. So the way you do these is start off with the products. I'm going to go to this 7, and I'm going to write every combination of numbers that I can get that multiply together to give me 7. And I'm going to start with 1. 1 times 7 gives me 7. And I want to kind of work my way up. 2 won't work, 3 won't work, 4 won't work. Nothing else will work but 1 and 7. But I could also have -1 and -7. So don't forget about your negatives, okay? Now, these are the 2 pairs of numbers that will give me the product of 7. I need to see which one will also give me a sum of 8. So I'm going to try to add them together. If I do 1 plus 7, I do get 8, which is what I wanted. If I do -1 plus -7, I get -8, which is not. So that means 1 and 7 will multiply together to give me 7, and 1 and 7 will add together to give me 8. So my answer is 1 and 7. So always start with the product. As you're going down and getting these factors and multiplying them together, add them at the same time, see if they give you the number you're looking for. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Let's go to the next one, see how it goes. Now I want you guys to try this one. I'm going to help you out just to start off. I need 2 numbers that add up to 15, but that have a product of 36. Start with 1 and 36. Obviously, if I add those together, it's not going to work. I want you to then go to 2 and 18, and then go to 3 and continue on. I want to pause the video for a minute, find all the products or all the factors of 36. So hopefully, guys, we got some things that multiply together, give me 36. I stopped at 3. If I did 3 into 36, I'd get 12. I can go to 4. If I do 4, I'd have 9. And then the last one I'd have is 6 and 6, okay? Now, it doesn't go up anymore. Of course, I could also have the negative of all these, but let's not resort to that until we see if these work. All these multiply together to give me 36. Let's see if they add up to give me 15. 1 plus 36 won't work. 2 plus 18 is 20. It won't work. 3 plus 12 is 15. Now we've got our answers, okay? So my answer is 3 and 12. 3 times 12 is 36. 3 plus 12 is 15. Now let's go to number 3, and there's something a little different here. Now I need them to add up to -4 and have a product of +3. So let's go ahead and write our factors of 3, or some numbers that will multiply together to give us 3. I have 1 times 3 gives me 3, and then nothing else will work except for -1 and -3. Those are my only two choices. So let's add them together and see what we get. 1 plus 3 equals 4. That didn't work. We need -4. -1 plus -3 does equal -4. So that has to be our answer. -3, -1. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 4. Number 4 says they sum to x. Now, we're not using x's, but we know there's a 1 in front of that, so we need something that adds up to 1, but has a product of -12. To get a product of a negative, one of your numbers has to be positive, one has to be negative, so let's start at 1. I could use 1 and -12, or -1 and +12. And then I want you to go from there and get all the factors. Let's pause the video for a minute or so everybody can kind of get ahead. So I went on a little bit further. I knew that I could use 2 and -6. I could use 3 and -4, and that's as high as I can go. But I can use the opposite of those, like -2 and +6, -3 and +4. So let's start adding these up. 1 plus -12 is not 1. 2 plus -6 is not 1. But 3 plus -4 gives me -1. That's interesting. I'm going to remember that, but it's not what we need. -1 plus 12 is not 1. -2 plus 6 is not 1. But -3 plus 4 is 1. Those are our answers, -3 and 4. So, when I did this backwards one first, I got really close. That should have been a clue that if I switched the sign, it actually was the answer. So write out your factors, see which ones add up to the number you want, and go from there. Now, number 5 is pretty much the same. I need something that adds up to 0 that has a product of 64. Now, there's quite a few numbers that can multiply together to give me 64. There's 4, in fact, that we can start off with. I'm going to start off with 1 and -64, or -1 and 64. I want you guys to go down and get the rest of them. Start with 2 and work your way up. Let's pause the video and give you just a minute. All right, guys. I went to 2 next. And if I have 2, then my other one must be -32. 3 won't go into 64. And if you're not sure, just do in your calculator 64 divided by 3. If it's a decimal, it doesn't work. 4 works. If I plug in 4, I should get -16. And then if 5 won't work, 6 won't work, 7 won't work, 8 works with -8. And now since those pretty much match, that's as deep as we can go. Of course, I have the opposites, the -232, the -416, and the -8, 8. Now we need one of these that adds up to equal 0. These first 3 definitely will not add up to 0, but now I have 8 plus -8. That does equal 0. So our answer is -8 and 8. Now some of you may be saying, oh, well, this other one, doesn't it work too? Well, yes, it does, but our answer is just that, -8 and 8. Okay? Now we've got one more to do. It's going to take a little doing. Let's go down to number 6. We've got our biggest numbers. Okay? Well, we've got 2 more to do, sorry. I need them to add up to be -20, and I need them to have a product of -300. So I'll kind of help you out and get you started. I'm going to start with 1 and -300. And of course, we could use -1 and 300. I want you to go up until you get to at least 10 and see what happens. I'll give you just a minute. So let's pause the video. Now, sometimes, guys, these numbers get pretty big. It's not that hard to go through and find the things that multiply together to give you that number. I'm going to go to 2 next, which will give me negative 150. 3 and negative 100. I've got 4 and negative 75. Let's see, I have 5 and negative 60. And even though I'm not really adding them up yet, I can see none of those are going to work. None of those are going to have a difference or sum of 20. I can go up to 6 and I get negative 50. 7 won't work. 8 won't work. 9 won't work. I can use 10 though and get negative 30. Now we could go up a little bit higher, but I think that's far enough. Remember, we could use all the opposites of those as well. You don't have to write those down if you don't want to. I'm just going to write them down so you know. Got a second set of them here. And remember, all I'm doing here, I think I froze up. All I'm doing here is just rewriting them the other way, okay? Just moving the negative sign. Sorry about that. Now, if I start adding these together, 1 and negative 300 is nowhere close to negative 20. Neither is these top few. Now, when I get down to 5, I'm getting closer because that would be negative 55. Now, I'd have negative 44, and 10 plus negative 30 equals negative 20, which is what I want. So my answer is negative 30 and 10. Let's look at the last one. I want y'all to try this out. I need it to add up to negative 1 and have a product of negative 6. Let's pause the video for just a minute. Y'all get ahead. This one's quick. So I'm going to go ahead and find my numbers. I know I have 1 and negative 6 or negative 1 and 6. And then it looks like I can have 2 and negative 3 or negative 2 and positive 3. So I need to add up to negative 1, so let's see what happens. 1 plus negative 6 is negative 5. That's not going to work. 2 plus negative 3, uh-oh. That one does equal negative 1. So my answer is negative 3 and 2. Guys, if you don't do these, it's because you're lazy. The hardest part is finding the numbers that multiply together to give us the products. But all you've got to do is use your calculator. Start at 1 and start working your way up. Obviously, 1's going to work in everything. 2 will work in anything that's even. You may have to try some other numbers in your calculator, but that should not be a problem. Now, if you have any questions over this, which you probably do, and that's okay, I'm going to help you out tomorrow. Remember, this is not due till Friday, so you have plenty of time to ask questions. I will be posting some homework help on YouTube in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. I hope this wasn't too bad, and I will see you tomorrow.